Hi, I'm Bob Weir with another interview of candidates for elective office. My guest today is Jim Engel, who is running for Place 4 on the Flower Mound Town Council. Thank you for being here, Jim.
Thank you, Bob.
Please begin by telling our viewers something about your background, education, occupation.
Well, I'm retired. I retired a little over 5.5 years ago. I had 30 plus years in business, working for companies such as American Airlines, Sabre, EDS, and HP, all through a series of spin-offs and acquisitions and so forth. So I retired in the fall of 2012. Education-wise, I'm a graduate of Aquinas College in Grand Rapids, Michigan, small Catholic college in Michigan, Western Michigan.
All right, so there's a few really significant issues facing our town, and I'm going to get to those individually instead of asking you generally speaking. So instead, let me just begin by saying, speaking as a resident, what do you like most about living in Flower Mound?
You know, it's a unique community. It really is great. Our location, our proximity to large cities such as Dallas and Fort Worth, the location where, you know, I can be at DFW Airport in 10 to 15 minutes, and yet you can drive out, cross timbers, and go through the conservation district, and you're out in the country, and it's just so relaxing there. I drive through there frequently to go to my son's house. He lives in North Fort Worth, and it's a peaceful, relaxing drive. I like the people in the town. They're friendly. We've got great schools. The look and feel of Flower Mound is fantastic, and I really fell in love with it before I moved here, so I decided I'm moving here versus in other communities in the area, and been happily as a resident for the last 13 years.
All right, so now to get into some specific issues, what is your opinion of the Morris Road expansion plans?
I have opposed the Morris Road expansion plans since they were announced. I don't think that they're necessary. There are a couple times a day during peak times for pickup and drop off at school where it bogs down around Forest Wood Middle, but primarily it's not, to me, in need of a 6-road expansion. Plus, there's no room for 6-road expansions in that area. It's winding, it's curvy. I've walked that path down that road, and the sidewalk's pretty close, really close to the road. And recently we lowered the speed limit, but it was 40 miles an hour, and many cars would do 45 to 47 miles an hour in that area, according to a police study. And you know, that's a little fast to have a child walking along that road.
Yeah, there are curved portions of it.
Yes.
Yes. How do you feel about the progress of the Riverwalk?
What they've completed at the Riverwalk, the density is a little bit much for me with the apartments concentration and so forth. But if you talk about the Riverwalk itself, it's beautiful what they've done. And it really is a nice place to just have a walk. My wife and I have taken our dog, one of our dogs, and strolled up and down the Riverwalk. They're now starting to build the other amenities in the area that we were promised. Interestingly enough, I went back and looked recently, and the restaurant row, which they're just building now, was proposed, and the plans are dated in June of 2005. So that's almost 3 years ago. I think there's a lot of lost opportunity in that time for the Riverwalk.
You mean 2015?
2015, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, 2015. And so I think there's been a lot of lost opportunity for the success of Restaurant Row. Some restaurants that were originally named went elsewhere. And you look at places like Medea, okay? The patio along, I drive by there frequently because it's right on 2499 in West Windsor. And if you look at there seems to be always people eating out on the patio. And all they have to look out onto is a street and a few trees at the end of the street there. Can you imagine what would happen if that were transformed and what they could have done with the Restaurant Row along the Riverwalk in there? And how many more people in how many more restaurants would flood had they actually built it prior to now?
Do you think residents should be concerned about the number of apartments being built on the Riverwalk?
Not necessarily. The answer is yes and no. I'm more concerned with apartments overall in town.
All right, that's what my next question was about. How about the 600 apartments planned for the Point?
Well, there's 600 apartments for the Point, but let's back up just a little minute.
Okay.
So, according to the last director's report from the developmental services out of the town, there's 1,900 completed apartments in Flower Mound. Okay, some of them date back, like there's over 800 of them that date back from the 70s to the 90s, 3 complexes that are older. Then there's a group like 900 that were in the Riverwalk. There was 1,100 in Lakeside. And so, you know, you've got a large concentration. There was 1,900 apartments that existed as of November when that report came out. Okay, there were additional 900 apartments that were under construction at that point, and then in December, 577 more in the Point were done. So at this point, we've got almost 1,500 apartments that are announced and planned to be built, either built, planned to be built, under construction, or announced.
Almost doubling what we had before.
Almost doubling what we had, and so you really have to wonder, boy, that's a huge growth in the number of apartments in a relatively short period of time. Can we absorb all those apartments? Can they maintain their high rental rates, which also drive the maintenance on those facilities? Now, the other thing is, there's a additional 1,500 apartments that the developers are in process of talking with the town on 1,500 additional proposed apartments.
Where's that?
There's one of the largest concentration is actually directly across Silveron from the Point. And there are other ones that are here and there, but in total, if all those were to be built, we would have 5,000 apartments in Flower Mound. And, you know, when you talk about the growth of apartments, that's a huge percentage. I think we need to look at, do we really need that quantity of apartments? I have nothing against apartment dwellers. I used to live in one. It was 40 years ago, but I used to live in one.
Yeah. How do you feel about the progress of Lakeside?
Lakeside, you know, they've got one thing, and I'll compare Lakeside and Riverwalk a little bit. The progress that Lakeside has made in a much shorter period of time than Riverwalk, and what they've been able to actually build and pull off is amazing. I'm looking forward to new developments like Lakeside Crossing, which has the Unscripted Hotel and more office buildings.
Lakeside Village also?
Lakeside Village is going to be, I'm a little, I have some concerns on the project overall. A little concerned on some of the density that I saw when they were presented in a work session a couple of months ago. But again, it's one of those things of, if you can put restaurants along the lake there, it's going to be a fantastic attraction for people to come to town, spend their money in our community.
Well, we're wrapping up, so quickly, if there's anything else you'd like to add about your candidacy, please do.
I ask for your vote. Please consider me for candidates. You have 3 choices for place 4 in Flower Mound, and I feel that I'm the best candidate, and I would very much appreciate your vote. If you have any questions, you can get a hold of me via Facebook, or I also have a campaign website that Bob will put in on the text of this video as well.
All right, well, I want to thank you, Jim, for being here, and good luck in the election.
Thank you very much for having me, Bob.
Thank you. And thank you for watching.